She collapsed in the snow, clutching a bundle that no longer moved. "Please!" Sarah Whitmore gasped, blood freezing on her lips. "Just bury my child." The mountain man stared at the tiny face, blue, silent, abandoned by a town that called her cursed. His hands, which had sworn never to heal again, trembled as he unwrapped the blanket. Then he felt it. A heartbeat. Faint. Dying. But there. Before we begin, subscribe and stay until the end. Comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. The wind didn't howl. It screamed. Sarah Whitmore's feet were gone. Not literally, she could see them moving through the snow, but she couldn't feel them anymore. 2 miles back, she'd lost her left boot. Didn't matter. Nothing mattered except the bundle pressed against her chest. Willa hadn't moved in hours. "Just a little further, baby. Please." The forest closed in. Branches tore her face. She tasted copper. Kept walking. 3 days ago, she'd left Coldwater Ridge. Or 4. Time had stopped meaning anything after the first door slammed. Mrs. Callahan's door. "Go back to the savages." The woman's cross had gleamed in the lamplight. "You made your choice when you spread your legs for that heathen." Sarah had dropped to her knees in the mud. "Please, she's just a baby. She's sick. She's cursed. Get off my property." The door slammed. Locked. Sarah had knelt there in the rain, Willa burning with fever in her arms, and understood they were going to let her baby die. So she ran. A drunk trapper in a trading post had told her about a man in the mountains. Used to be a doctor. Union surgeon. Went crazy after his family died. Some say he's dangerous. But they also say he don't turn folks away. Where? 15 miles north. Follow the creek to the fork. West Branch. Red door. She'd started walking that same hour. Now her body was quitting, her legs folded. She caught a tree trunk bark slicing her palm. Pain felt far away. "Please, let me find him." Willa's chest rose, fell, stopped. Sarah waited. Nothing. "No, no, no, no." She ripped the blanket open, pressed her ear to Willa's tiny chest. Silence. Wait. There. Thump. 1 beat. Then nothing. Then another. So faint. So slow. "Hold on. Please, baby, hold on." Sarah forced herself up. 1 step. Another. The world tilted. She fell. Get up. She couldn't. Get up or she dies in your arms. Sarah screamed raw animal and dragged herself forward on her elbows. Blood trailing behind. Baby clutched tight. Then she saw it. Light. Golden. Flickering through the pines. "Oh God." She crawled faster. Branches grabbed her hair. Rocks cut her knees. The light grew. A cabin. Rough logs. And a door. Red. Sarah sobbed and dragged herself up 3 steps. Left bloody handprints on the wood. Raised her fist. Pounded. "Please, someone." Nothing. She pounded harder. "My baby's dying. Please." Silence. Her strength broke. She slumped against the door, clutching Willa. "Please, just bury my child. Don't let the wolves take her." The door opened. Sarah fell forward onto wooden floors. Looked up through tears. A man. Tall. Bearded. 40 maybe. Gray eyes like winter stone. He held a hunting knife. Stared down at her without expression. "I don't take visitors." "Please." Sarah held up the bundle. "My baby, I think she's—" His eyes moved to the blanket. Something flickered across his face. "I'm not a doctor anymore. I'm not asking you to save her." Sarah's voice cracked. "I know she's gone. I can't feel her breathing. I just need you to bury her. Please, don't let the animals—" "Stop." He knelt, reached for the blanket. Sarah pulled back. "Promise me first. Promise you'll bury her properly." "Let me see her." Something in his voice made her obey. He pulled back the blanket. Nobody moved. Then he pressed 2 fingers to Willa's neck. Eyes closed, jaw clenched. When did she eat last? What? When did she last eat? He looked at Sarah now, eyes focused intense. Yesterday, this morning, I had a little milk. How long has she been like this? Hours, I thought. He stood baby in his arms. Inside. Close the door. Sarah stared. Is she? She's still breathing. The words didn't register. What? Barely. Heart's failing. Lungs full of fluid. He was already moving to a back room. Close the damn door. You're letting cold in. Sarah slammed the door and stumbled after him. The cabin was sparse. Fireplace. Table. 2 chairs. Shelves of jars. Rifle on the wall. Everything military precise. He pushed through a curtain. The back room was a surgery table in the center cabinets, instruments on hooks, small stove burning low. He laid Willa on the table and started unwrapping her. The tiny body appeared ribs, showing stomach-swollen limbs stick-thin. Jesus, how long since she had a real meal? I couldn't the town. Forget it. Hold her legs. Keep her still. Sarah grabbed Willa's ankles. The baby didn't move, eyes sunken, lips blue. The man grabbed a jar, twisted it open, rubbed salve under Willa's nose and across her chest, muttering, Come on, fighter. Nothing. He grabbed whiskey, poured a capful, dipped his finger, forced Willa's mouth open, rubbed it on her gums. Nothing. Damn it! He lifted the baby, turned her over, struck her back. Hard. What are you? Willa coughed, weak, wet, but something. He flipped her over, tilted her head back, breathed into her mouth. Once. Twice. 3 times. Another cough. Stronger. That's it. Come on. He pressed his ear to her chest, listening. Willa's body convulsed, back arched, mouth opened. She wailed. Sarah collapsed against the table, sobbing. Oh God, thank you. Thank you. The man kept working, grabbed a cloth, dipped it in warm water, cleaned Willa's face, her chest. Fast, but gentle. Not safe yet. Lungs compromised, fevers high. He wrapped her in a clean blanket, looked at Sarah. When did she eat truth? 2 days. Maybe 3. I chewed dried meat soft. She's starving. So are you. I'm fine. You're not. He studied her blood on her forehead, cracked lips, hollow eyes. When did you eat? Sarah couldn't remember. He sighed, handed Willa back. Hold her. Keep her warm. He disappeared. Sarah heard pots clanking. She looked down at Willa, breathing now, ragged, but breathing. We're safe, baby. We found him. He returned with a tin cup. Bone broth. All I have that won't kill her stomach. Can you get her to take it? Sarah tried. Touched broth to Willa's lips. Nothing. Here. He took the cup, dipped a cloth in squeezed drops into the baby's mouth. Willa swallowed. Good. Again. Drop by drop. 20 minutes. A few spoonfuls total. But Willa's color shifted gray to pale. More in an hour. Every hour. He set the cup down. You. Sit. Sarah sank into a chair, clutching Willa. He brought another cup. Drink. The broth burned her throat, settled in her empty stomach like fire. Slow. You'll get sick. Sarah forced herself to sip. He turned away, cleaning instruments. Your name? Sarah. Sarah Whitmore. The baby. Willa. He nodded, didn't offer his own. Thank you. I thought, she's not safe yet. But she's alive, because of you. His hand stopped on the scalpel. I didn't do anything special. You saved her. I delayed her death. Different thing. He faced her. Why'd the town turn you away? Sarah's throat closed. Her father. Who was he? Keaton, Comanche hunter. She looked at Willa. Best man I knew. The man's face didn't change. They killed him 8 months ago. Her voice hardened. Said he attacked me. Forced himself on me. Lies. I loved him. We were leaving together. But the town found out. Reverend Galloway called him an animal, said I needed saving. Keaton disagreed. He tried to take me away. They caught him on the road. 5 men. Beat him to death in front of the church. Her hand shook. I was 2 months pregnant. They said if I kept the baby I'd be cast out. I didn't care. When she was born and they saw her skin... Sarah's voice cracked. Demon, they called her. Said she carried his sin. Silence except for crackling fire. Finally, my wife was Apache. Sarah looked up. Ayanna. Met her during the war. Fort Grant. Translator. Smartest person I ever knew. His hands curled into fists. Married, 1866. Fort commander approved. But when I brought her to Virginia... He stopped. What happened? They burned our house, with her inside, and my son. His voice fractured. Timothy, 4 years old. Sarah's breath caught. Said it was an accident, a lantern, but I knew. He turned back to his instruments. Left Virginia the next day. Came west, tried to start over, but hatred doesn't change geography, so I stopped trying. But you helped us. I helped the baby. Different thing. Why? Long silence. Then barely a whisper. Because I couldn't save mine. Tears slid down Sarah's face. What's your name? He hesitated. Elias. Elias Boon. Thank you, Elias. One nod. Then he moved to the window, storm growing worse. You're stuck here till this passes. Could be days. We won't be trouble. You already are. No malice, just exhaustion. I'll set up a bed by the fire. You and the baby sleep there. I'll monitor her through the night. You don't have to. Yes, I do. He looked at Willa. Something ancient and broken flickered in his eyes. She's still breathing. Let's keep it that way. First night was hell. Willa's fever spiked at midnight. Elias moved fast. Cold compresses ground roots mixed with water pressed to her chest. Sarah couldn't sleep. Watched this stranger fight for her daughter. Why'd you become a doctor? She asked. He was grinding something in a mortar. My father was a pastor. Saved souls for the next world. I wanted to save bodies in this one. Did it work? Sometimes. War I did 300 surgeries. Saved half. Lost the rest. He mixed the powder with water. The ones I saved called me a hero. The ones I lost cursed me. Learned fast that healing isn't about being good enough. It's about showing up when it matters. He pressed the cloth to Willa's chest. She whimpered but didn't wake. After Ayanna. He wiped his hands. I told myself I was done. No more healing. What's the point when you can't save the ones you love? He paused. But you showed up. I heard that heartbeat. Realized I'm a coward. What? I ran. Hid up here because I was scared to feel that pain again. Scared to try and fail. But you walked 70 miles through a blizzard with a dying baby because you refused to give up. That's courage. I'm just a man who knows how to stitch wounds. You're more than that. Maybe. He covered Willa with another blanket. Sleep. I'll wake you if things change. Sarah tried. But she kept watching him work through the night, this broken man who claimed he'd quit, but moved with the precision of someone who'd never stopped being a doctor. 2 hours before dawn, Willa's fever broke. Sarah woke. She must have dozed and found Elias asleep in the chair beside her. Head back, mouth open. In the firelight he looked younger, less haunted. Willa stirred. Then her eyes opened, dark like Keaton's, flecked with amber. She looked at Sarah and made a small sound. Hi, baby. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. Hi, sweet girl. Elias jerked awake. What's wrong? Nothing. She's awake. He checked her eyes, pulse breathing. Sat back. Was that a smile? Stronger. Fever's gone. Breathing's clear. He stood stretching. She needs food rest warmth, but she'll make it. Because of you. Because she's a fighter. He looked at Sarah. Like her mother. Outside the storm still raged. Inside, for the first time in months, Sarah felt something crack open in her chest. Not quite hope, but close. Then Elias walked to the window and went still. What? Sarah asked. He didn't answer, just stared out into the white darkness. Elias? Tracks. His voice was flat. In the snow, fresh, leading here. Sarah's blood went cold. What kind of tracks? Horse. He grabbed his rifle from the wall. Multiple horses. The town! Sarah clutched Willa tighter. They followed me. Elias checked the rifle. Loaded. Face hard as stone. Then they just made a mistake. The tracks were fresh. Maybe an hour old. 3 horses, maybe 4, coming straight up the mountain toward the cabin. Elias didn't move from the window, just held the rifle and watched the tree line. How many? Sarah whispered. Can't tell yet. At least 3 riders. His voice was calm. Too calm. Could be hunters. Could be trappers passing through. You don't believe that? No. Sarah stood still holding Willa. Her legs shook. What do we do? You take the baby into the back room. There's a cellar entrance under the bed. Crawl inside. Don't make a sound. No matter what you hear out here, you stay quiet. Understand? Elias? Do you understand? Sarah nodded. Good. Go. Now. She hurried into the back room. Willa pressed against her chest. Found the bed, narrow military made. Dropped to her knees and looked underneath. There. A trap door, wooden with an iron ring. She pulled it open. Darkness below. Smell of earth and cold. She climbed down the ladder, one-handed, clutching Willa with the other. Her feet touched dirt. The space was small, maybe 6 feet across 4 feet high. Root cellar. Jars lined the walls. Potatoes in a crate. Dried meat hanging from hooks. Above her she heard Elias moving. Boots on wood. The click of the rifle being cocked. Then voices outside. Male. Multiple. Getting closer. Sarah pulled the trapdoor shut above her. Darkness swallowed her whole. She pressed Willa tight against her chest hand over the baby's mouth. Not hard, just enough. Shh, baby. Not a sound. Please. Willa's eyes were wide, but she didn't cry. Footsteps on the porch. Heavy, confident, then pounding on the door. 3 hard knocks. Open up. We know you're in there. Sarah's heart stopped. She knew that voice. Thomas Everett, the preacher's son. The man who'd asked to court her 2 years ago. The man she'd turned down. The man who'd led the group that killed Keaton. Elias's voice came through the floorboards, muffled but clear. State your business. Open this door or we'll kick it down. A pause. Then the sound of the door opening. I said state your business. We're looking for a woman, Sarah Whitmore. She came through here. We're bringing her back to town. Don't know anyone by that name? Don't lie to us, old man. We tracked her here. 3 days through the snow. Her footprints lead right to your door. Lots of animals make tracks. You followed a deer. We followed a woman. Thomas's voice rose. A woman carrying a half-breed bastard. She's a thief and a fornicator, and she's coming back with us to face judgment. She's not here. Then you won't mind if we look around. Actually, I would. This is my property. You're trespassing. Leave. Someone laughed. Not Thomas. Another voice. Deeper. You gonna make us, Grandpa? If I have to. You see, that boy's old man's got a rifle. Think he even knows how to use it. I was a surgeon in the Union Army, field medic. Saw action at Shiloh, Antietam, and Petersburg. Elias's voice never changed tone. Still calm, still flat. I know exactly where to shoot a man so he bleeds out slow. Takes about 4 minutes. Painful as hell. You want to find out? Silence. Then Thomas again. You're harboring a criminal. That makes you complicit. The town council authorized us to bring her back by any means necessary. Your town council has no authority up here. This is federal land. You cross my threshold without permission, I'll shoot you for trespassing. Law's on my side. Law? Thomas laughed. There is no law up here, old man. Just you and us, and there's more of us. Maybe. But I guarantee the first man through that door dies. Question is, which one of you wants to be first? Another pause. Longer this time. Sarah barely breathed. Willa squirmed against her. She adjusted her grip, whispering prayers that didn't form words. Then Thomas spoke again, quieter now. More dangerous. We'll give you one chance. Send the woman out. We'll take her back to town. Let the council decide her fate. You stay out of it, we leave you alone. Otherwise what? Otherwise we burn this cabin down, with you inside, just like what happened to your savage wife. The world stopped. Sarah heard it through the floorboards, the sharp intake of breath, the crack in Elias's composure. What did you say? Oh, we heard about you, Dr. Boon. Virginia wasn't it, 1867. House fire. Your Apache whore and your half-breed boy burned alive. Some folks said it was an accident, but we both know better, don't we? Get off my property. We also heard you ran away like a coward, didn't even fight back, just tucked tail and hid up here in the mountains like a scared dog. Last warning. Here's the thing, Doctor. Thomas's voice was poison. I don't think you got the stomach for violence anymore. I think you're soft. I think you'll hand her over because deep down you know it's the right thing to do. She's a sinner. Her child's an abomination. And you're just tired. You're wrong. Then prove it. Shoot me. Silence. Sarah's nails dug into her palms. She could feel it, the tension, the standoff, the moment balanced on a razor's edge. That's what I thought. Thomas laughed. Boys kicked the door in. Wait. Elias's voice, different now. Something had shifted. You want her, fine, but not the baby. Baby stays with me. Sarah nearly screamed, clapped her hand over her own mouth. Not your call, old man. It is now. You take the woman, I keep the child. That's the deal. Otherwise we see who's faster. Thomas considered this. Why do you care about the bastard? Because she's innocent. Whatever sins the mother committed, the child didn't choose them. You want your justice, fine, but leave the baby out of it. No deal. The child comes too. Evidence of her crime. Then I guess we're at an impasse. I guess we are. The gunshot split the air. Sarah flinched so hard she nearly dropped Willa. Above her, chaos erupted. Shouting. Boots scrambling. Something heavy hit the floor. You shot him. You crazy son of a bitch. You shot him. Next one goes in your chest. Leave, now. You'll hang for this. Maybe. But you'll be dead. Choose. More scrambling. The door slammed. Then silence. Sarah waited, counting heartbeats. 50. 100. 200. Finally footsteps. Slow. Limping. Sarah. Elias's voice. Strained. They're gone. You can come up. She climbed the ladder, pushed the trapdoor open. Emerged into the back room. Elias stood in the doorway, rifle in one hand, the other pressed to his side. Blood seeped between his fingers. You're hurt. Grazed. I'll live. He leaned against the doorframe. They'll be back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they'll be back with more men. You should have given me to them. No. Elias, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. He looked at her, gray eyes blazing. I understand that I already ran away once. Let evil win once. Hid up here while the world burned because I was too broken to fight anymore. I'm not doing that again. You barely know me. Doesn't matter. You could die. We all die, Sarah. Question is what we die for. He pushed off the doorframe, winced. Help me with this wound. Then we need to talk strategy. She set Willa down on the bed. The baby was mercifully still calm and helped Elias remove his shirt. The wound was along his ribs left side. Deep graze. Not life-threatening, but painful. You got lucky, she said, cleaning it with whiskey. Story of my life. He hissed as the alcohol burned. How many men you think Thomas can round up? Depends. If he goes to the town council, maybe 10. If he goes to the church. Sarah swallowed. Reverend Galloway can call out 30 men on a Sunday. 30. Elias laughed sharp and bitter. Well, that's just fantastic. I'm sorry. I never should have come here. Stop apologizing. You did what you had to do. He looked at Willa. She's alive because you didn't give up. That means something. Sarah wrapped the wound with clean cloth, tied it tight. What do? We prepare. I've got ammunition, food, water. This cabin's solid log walls, small windows, one door. Defensible. If they come back, we hold them off until they get bored or the weather turns. And if they don't get bored? Elias met her eyes. Then we fight. Over the next 3 days, Elias transformed the cabin into a fortress. He boarded up windows, reinforced the door, moved supplies into strategic positions, created firing ports in the walls, set tripwires in the snow around the perimeter with bells attached. Sarah helped where she could, but mostly she focused on Willa. The baby was getting stronger, eating more, crying, more, staying awake longer. Every day was a small miracle. On the third night they sat by the fire. Elias was cleaning his rifle. Sarah was rocking Willa to sleep. Can I ask you something? She said. Depends what it is. Why didn't you fight back in Virginia? After they killed your family? Elias's hands stopped moving. For a long moment he didn't speak. Because I knew it wouldn't bring them back. Violence for the sake of violence, that's just revenge. It doesn't heal anything, doesn't fix anything, just creates more bodies. He resumed cleaning. I thought if I walked away, I could escape it. The hatred, the evil. But you can't escape it, Sarah. It follows you, finds you, forces you to choose. Choose what? Whether to become what you hate, or to stand against it knowing you might lose. And what did you choose? I'm still deciding. The bells rang at dawn. Sarah woke to Elias already moving, rifle in hand, moving to the window. She grabbed Willa, heart pounding. How many? 7. Maybe 8. On foot. Coming slow. Is Thomas with them? Can't tell yet. He loaded the rifle. Get in the cellar. Same as before. Elias. Go. She ran to the back room, found the trapdoor, climbed down with Willa. This time she brought a lantern. Light flickered off the earthen walls. She could hear her own breathing, too loud, too fast. Above voices. Dr. Boon, we know you're in there. Come out and we'll make this quick. Not Thomas this time. Reverend Galloway himself. You're trespassing, Reverend. God's law supersedes property rights, Doctor. You're harboring a sinner and her devil child. Release them to us and you'll be spared. No. Then you leave us no choice. Men burn it down. Sarah's blood turned to ice. Footsteps. Multiple. Running around the cabin. Then the smell, kerosene. They were dousing the walls. Last chance, Doctor. Go to hell. The first gunshot cracked. Then another. Shouting. Men screaming. He's shooting, fall back. Don't run, you cowards. He's one man. More gunshots. The acrid smell of gunpowder mixing with kerosene. Sarah pressed Willa against her chest, both of them shaking. Then fire. She heard it before she smelled it, the whoosh of flames catching wood. Heat poured through the floorboards above. Smoke started seeping into the cellar. "Elias!" She screamed it without thinking. Above her, more shots. A man cried out in pain. Then Elias's voice. "That's 3 down. Who's next?" "You're insane. The cabin's burning." "Then I guess we all burn together." Sarah heard crashing. Something heavy falling. The heat was intensifying. Willa started crying. Real crying now, terrified wails. The trapdoor flew open. Smoke poured in. Elias's face appeared streaked with soot and blood. "Up now!" She handed him. Willa climbed the ladder. The back room was full of smoke. Flames ate the main room walls. The heat was unbearable. "Back door!" Elias shouted over the roar. "There is no back door." "There is now." He kicked the back wall once, twice, 3 times. The board splintered. Firelight from outside showed through. He kicked again and the wall gave way. Cold air rushed in. They stumbled out into the snow. Men were waiting. 5 of them. Reverend Galloway in front holding a torch. Thomas Everett beside him, arm in a sling from where Elias had shot him. 3 others Sarah didn't recognize. "Going somewhere?" Thomas smiled. Elias stepped in front of Sarah and Willa. He still had the rifle, but it was empty. She'd heard him fire every round. He held it like a club. "Get out of the way, Doctor. This is your last chance." "No." Thomas pulled a pistol from his belt. "Then I guess you die a hero. How poetic." He raised the gun. Sarah screamed, but the shot never came. Instead, Thomas jerked forward, eyes wide. The gun fell from his hand. He looked down at the arrow protruding from his shoulder. Then another arrow hit one of the other men. Then another. The remaining men scattered, diving for cover. Reverend Galloway dropped his torch and ran. From the tree line, figures emerged. 6 of them. 7. Moving silent through the snow. Native warriors. Sarah's breath caught. She recognized the lead figure, older man, gray braids, wearing a mix of traditional and frontier clothing. He carried a bow arrow already nocked. He looked at Elias and spoke in a language Sarah didn't understand. Elias responded in the same language. His accent was rough but clear. The man nodded once. Then he and his warriors moved forward, driving the remaining attackers away from the cabin. Within minutes, the clearing was empty except for Sarah, Elias, Willa, and the warriors. The older man approached Elias, studied his wound, said something sharp. Elias replied. The man shook his head, almost smiling. Then he looked at Sarah and Willa. Spoke in English now. "Your wife." "No, friend." "The child." "Hers." The man studied Willa for a long moment. "Comanche blood." Sarah found her voice. "Her father was Keaton. He was killed." "I know Keaton. Good hunter. Strong heart." The man looked at Elias. "You protect his child." "Yes." "Why?" "Because someone should." The man considered this, then nodded. "You are welcome in our camp until you rebuild. The White Devils will not follow you there." "I appreciate the offer, but—" "It was not an offer, it was a statement." The man gestured to his warriors. "Come, the cabin is lost. You have nothing left here." Sarah looked back. The cabin was fully engulfed now, flames reaching into the dawn sky. Everything Elias owned burning. He didn't even look at it. "Let's go," he said simply. They walked for 2 hours. The warriors led them deeper into the mountains, away from any trails Sarah recognized. Willa slept in her arms the whole time, exhausted from crying. Finally, they reached a valley hidden between 2 ridges. A small encampment, maybe 15 shelters, mix of traditional teepees and log structures. Smoke rising from fires. People moving about their morning tasks. They stopped. Children ran up, curious. Women emerged from shelters. An old woman approached, spoke rapidly to the leader. He responded, gestured to Sarah and Willa. The old woman's eyes softened. She came forward, touched Willa's cheek, gently said something in her language. "She says the child has strong spirit." The leader translated. like her father. "You knew Keaton?" Sarah asked. "He was my nephew. His mother was my sister." The man's face was stone, but his eyes held grief. "He chose love over tradition. Our people did not approve. But I understood. Sometimes the heart chooses its own path." Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If we hadn't." "The white devils killed him. Not you. Not love." He looked at Elias. "You honor his memory by protecting his daughter. That is enough." Over the next week, they stayed with the camp. The people were wary at first, but warming when they saw how Elias treated them with respect, how he helped their medicine woman with her work, how he never asked for more than he was given. Sarah learned the leader's name was Nalnish. He taught her some Comanche words. Taught Willa, though she was too young to understand about her father's people. At night, Sarah and Elias would sit by the fire in the shelter they'd been given. Separate sleeping areas but shared space. They didn't talk much, didn't need to. One night she finally asked, "What now? What do you mean?" "The cabin's gone. Those men, they'll tell everyone you tried to kill them. You can't go back to your mountain." "No, I suppose I can't." "So what do you do?" Elias stared into the fire for a long time. "I don't know. For 3 years I've been hiding, running, telling myself I was done with the world. But the world doesn't let you quit, does it?" "No. Maybe that's the point." He looked at her. "Maybe we're not supposed to quit. Maybe we're supposed to keep fighting. Keep choosing good even when evil's winning. Keep protecting what matters." "Is that what Willa is to you? Something that matters?" "Yes." No hesitation. "And so are you." Sarah's breath caught. "I know we barely know each other," Elias continued. "I know this is insane. But these past few days fighting beside you, protecting her, it's the first time since Ayanna died that I felt like I had a reason to wake up." "Elias, I'm not asking for anything. Not making promises. Just I want you to know. You're not alone anymore. Neither of you." Sarah reached across the space between them. Took his hand. He squeezed back. Outside, snow began to fall. Soft. Quiet. Covering the world in white. Inside, something new was beginning. Not love. Not yet. But the space where love could grow. On the 10th day, Naalnish came to them. His face was troubled. "White soldiers coming. From the fort. 20 men. They asked questions about burned cabin, about dead settlers." Elias stood. "They're looking for me." "Yes." "I'll leave. I won't bring trouble to your people." "Too late. They know you are here. They come tomorrow at dawn." Sarah felt panic rising. "What do we do?" Nalnish looked at Elias for a long moment. Then, "You fight before. You will fight again. But this time, you do not fight alone. I can't ask you to. You do not ask. We offer. Keaton's daughter is our blood. We protect our blood." He smiled thin and hard. "Besides, these soldiers, they are the ones who drove us from our hunting grounds last winter. They owe us a debt. Tomorrow we collect." That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She held Willa close, whispering promises she didn't know if she could keep. Elias sat by the entrance rifle across his knees, watching the darkness. "You should run," she said quietly. "No." "Elias, please. Take Willa. Take her and go. I'll stay here. Face the soldiers. Tell them, 'Sarah, stop. She needs you more than she needs me. You can keep her safe. You can—'" "I'm not leaving you." He turned to face her. "I already ran once. Left my family's killers unpunished because I was too broken to fight. I'm not making that mistake again. This is different. No, it's not. It's the same choice I made 3 years ago, and this time I'm choosing to stay. You'll die. Maybe, but I'll die standing. That's something. Sarah wanted to argue, wanted to scream at him, wanted to shake him until he understood that he didn't owe her this. But she saw it in his eyes the decision was already made. So instead she said, "Thank you." He nodded, turned back to the darkness, and waited for dawn. Dawn came too fast. Sarah stood at the edge of the camp, holding Willa watching the tree line. Behind her, Nalnish's warriors were positioned in a loose semicircle, bows ready, rifles loaded. Elias stood to her left, that same rifle across his chest. His jaw was set, eyes focused. "You should take her inside," he said without looking at her. "No." Sarah. "I said no. If they're coming for us, I face them. I'm done hiding." He glanced at her then. Something passed between them. Understanding maybe, or respect. "Then stay behind me." The soldiers appeared through the morning mist like ghosts. 20 men on horseback, blue uniforms, crisp despite the cold. They rode in formation, disciplined, military, precise. An officer led them, captain's bars on his shoulders, saber at his hip. He raised his hand, and the column stopped 50 yards from the camp. "I am Captain William Morrison, United States Army, Fort Ellis. I'm looking for a man named Elias Boon. We have questions regarding an incident at his property 6 days ago." Elias stepped forward. "I'm Boon." Morrison studied him. "Dr. Boon, I've heard of you. Union surgeon. Commendations at Shiloh. You had a promising career." "Had." "Indeed." Morrison dismounted. His men stayed in their saddles, hands near their weapons. 4 days ago, 3 men arrived at Fort Ellis, 2 with gunshot wounds. They claim you attacked them without provocation, burned your own cabin with them inside, tried to murder them. That's a lie. Is it? Because from where I stand, your cabin is a pile of ash, and those men are in my infirmary. They came to my home, demanded I hand over a woman and her child. When I refused, they tried to burn me alive. I defended myself. They say you were harboring a criminal, Sarah Whitmore, wanted by the town of Coldwater Ridge for abandonment of Christian duties and fornication with a savage. Sarah felt rage boil in her chest. She stepped forward. "I'm Sarah Whitmore, and I'm not a criminal." Morrison's eyes shifted to her, then to Willa. His expression didn't change, but something flickered there. "The child, my daughter. Her father was Comanche. He was murdered by the same men who tried to burn Dr. Boon's cabin." "I see." Morrison walked closer, stopped 10 feet away. "Miss Whitmore, I don't particularly care about your romantic choices, but I do care about maintaining order. Those men claim you stole supplies from the town before you fled. I took nothing that wasn't mine. They also claim the child is diseased, that you're spreading infection. She was starving. Dr. Boon saved her life." Morrison looked at Willa. The baby was awake now, watching him with those dark eyes. He studied her for a long moment. "She looks healthy to me." "Because Dr. Boon healed her." "Interesting." Morrison turned back to Elias. "Here's my problem, doctor. I have 3 white men in my infirmary claiming you tried to kill them. I have witnesses who saw your cabin burning, and I have you here with a woman wanted by a local township living among hostiles." "We are not hostiles." Nyalnish spoke for the first time, his English clear and sharp. "We are people. We harm no one. We shelter those who need shelter." Morrison's hand moved to his saber. His men shifted in their saddles. "I wasn't speaking to you. You speak on our land. That makes it our business. This is federal territory. This is land where our fathers hunted and our mothers gathered since before your grandfathers crossed the ocean. You call it federal territory. We call it home." The tension coiled tighter. Elias moved slightly, positioning himself between Morrison and Nyalnish. "Captain, with respect, those men came to murder me and an innocent woman. They set fire to my property. I defended myself. That's not a crime." In a court of law, maybe not. But there is no court within 100 miles. There's just my judgment. Morrison studied the scene. Elias, Sarah, the warriors, the baby. I could arrest you right now, bring you back to the fort, let you rot in a cell until a circuit judge arrives. Could take months. And the woman? I'd have to return her to Coldwater Ridge. Let their counsel decide her fate. No. Elias's voice went cold. That's not happening. Then we have a problem. Maybe. Elias shifted his grip on the rifle. Not threatening, just ready. Or maybe you could use your judgment and see this for what it is. A woman fled with her dying child because a town wanted to let that child die. I gave them shelter. Those men came looking for revenge disguised as justice. They failed. End of story. Morrison was quiet for a long time. Behind him, his men waited. Around them, Naalnish's warriors waited. Everyone balanced on the edge of violence. Finally, Morrison spoke. How many men did you shoot? 3, non-fatal wounds. And the cabin? They burned it. I escaped. With help. Morrison looked at Naalnish. Your people attacked my citizens. Your citizens attacked first. We defended guests. That is our right. You killed 2 men. They chose violence. We answered. Morrison's jaw clenched. Sarah could see him thinking, calculating. What would serve him better, enforcing the letter of the law, or walking away from a fight that would cost him soldiers, Dr. Boon? Morrison turned his attention back. I'm going to ask you one question. Answer truthfully and this conversation ends. Lie to me and we settle this here and now. Ask. Did that woman and her child need help when they arrived at your cabin? Elias didn't hesitate. Yes. The child was dying. Hours from death. If I hadn't intervened, she'd be dead. And the mother? Starving. Frostbitten. She'd walked 70 miles through a blizzard with no food, 1 boot, and a dying infant. She collapsed on my doorstep. Morrison looked at Sarah again. Really looked at her this time. Saw the scars on her hands. The haunted look in her eyes. The way she held Willa like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. Why didn't you take her to the fort? Sarah answered before Elias could. Because by the time I was strong enough to walk, those men had already spread their lies. If I went to the fort, you would have sent me back to Coldwater Ridge. Back to the people who killed my... Her voice broke. Back to the people who murdered Willa's father. Morrison absorbed this. Then, what was his name? Oh, Ketten. And how did he die? 5 men beat him to death in front of the church, called it justice, said he was an animal who needed to be put down. Were you there? Yes. Did he fight back? He tried to protect me. They killed him for it. Morrison closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, something had shifted. Sergeant Phillips. One of the soldiers urged his horse forward. Sir. Make a note in the record. We investigated reports of an incident at Dr. Elias Boon's former residence. Found evidence of a structure fire, cause unknown. No perpetrators identified. Case closed. Phillips hesitated. But sir, the wounded men were caught in the fire. Accidents happen. Case closed. Sergeant. Yes, sir. Morrison turned back to Elias. You're a lucky man, Doctor. Am I? You are, because I don't like bullies. And I particularly don't like men who hide behind religion to justify cruelty. He looked at Sarah. Miss Whitmore, as far as the United States Army is concerned, you and your daughter are free citizens. No charges. No warrants. If anyone from Coldwater Ridge bothers you again, send word to Fort Ellis. We'll handle it. Sarah's knees nearly buckled. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank the fact that I have 3 daughters of my own, and I'd hope someone would show them mercy if they needed it. Morrison mounted his horse. Dr. Boon, one more thing. Yes. The fort could use a surgeon. Our current physician is 60 years old and half blind. Pay's not great, but it's steady. You'd have housing supplies protection. Think about it. I will. Morrison nodded to Naalnish. Sorry for the intrusion. Naalnish said nothing. Just watched as the soldiers turned and rode away. When they were gone, Sarah finally let herself breathe. Her whole body shook. Elias caught her before she fell. "Easy. You're all right. We're all right." I thought he was going to." "I know, but he didn't. We're safe." Naalnish approached. "The captain is a good man, rare among the blue coats, but he will not be able to protect you forever. Others will come. People like those from your town. They do not stop." "I know," Elias said. "Then what will you do?" Elias looked at Sarah, at Willa, then back at Naalnish. "I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out." That night, the camp held a small celebration. Not for victory, they were too practical for that, but for survival. Food was shared. Stories told. Children played near the fires. Sarah sat outside her shelter watching Willa sleep. The baby looked so peaceful now, so different from the dying child she'd carried through the snow. Hard to believe that was only 2 weeks ago. Felt like a lifetime. Elias emerged from the shadows, 2 cups in hand. He offered her one. "What is it?" "Tea. Naalnish's wife makes it. Supposed to calm the nerves." Sarah took it. The liquid was hot, bitter grounding. They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars. "Morrison was serious?" she finally said. "About the job." "I know." "Are you going to take it?" "Would you want me to?" Sarah turned to look at him. "What?" "If I take that job, I'll be at the fort. Regular hours. Steady pay. Respectable position. But you and Willa, you'd be there too. Living on an army base. Surrounded by soldiers. Some of them good men like Morrison. Some of them not." "What are you asking me, Elias?" He set his cup down. Looked at her directly. "I'm asking if you want to build a life, not just survive day to day, not just run from one place to another, but actually settle somewhere. Together." Sarah's heart hammered. Together. "I know we barely know each other. I know this is fast. But these past 2 weeks..." He stopped. Started again. "When you showed up at my cabin, I was dead. Not literally, but inside. I'd given up. Decided the world was too broken to bother with. But then I heard Willa's heartbeat and something woke up. Something I thought I'd lost forever." "Elias." "I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm not asking for promises. I'm just asking, do you want to try to build something, not romance necessarily? Just partnership, family maybe. You, me, and Willa. Figuring it out as we go." Sarah felt tears on her cheeks. "Why? Why what? Why do you care? You could have turned us away. Could have let her die. Could have handed us over to those men. Why didn't you?" Elias was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was raw. "Because when I saw her lying there so small, so helpless, I saw Timothy. And I realized that I couldn't save him. Couldn't save Ayana. But maybe I could save this one child. And maybe that could mean something. Could make up for..." His voice broke. "I don't know. I just knew I had to try." Sarah reached out. Took his hand. Rough skin. Calloused. Strong. "Yes. Yes. Yes, I want to try. I want to build something. With you." He squeezed her hand. Didn't let go. They sat like that for hours. Holding hands. Watching the fire burn down to embers. Not talking. Just being. For the first time in months, Sarah felt something other than fear. She felt hope. 3 days later, they left the camp. Naalnish gave them supplies, food, blankets, medicine. His wife gave Sarah a small pouch. "For the child," she said through Naalnish's translation. "Herbs, if she gets sick. You know how to use... Dr. Boon will teach me." The old woman smiled. Touched Willa's cheek one last time. "She is strong. Like her father, like her mother. She will do great things." Sarah hugged her. "Thank you. For everything." They said their goodbyes and started the journey to Fort Ellis. It took 2 days on foot, Elias carrying most of the supplies, Sarah carrying Willa. The baby was thriving now, eating well, sleeping through the night, starting to make little sounds that weren't quite words but were close. On the second night, they made camp in a small grove. Elias built a fire. Sarah fed Willa, then settled her into the makeshift crib Nalnish had fashioned from a basket and furs. "She's getting heavy," Sarah said, rubbing her arms. "That's good. Means she's healthy." "I know. It's just I keep thinking about how close we came. If I hadn't found you. If you'd turned us away. If—" "Don't." Elias poked the fire with a stick. "You can't think like that. You'll drive yourself crazy with the what-ifs. How do you stop?" "You don't. You just learn to live with them." He looked at her. "I think about Ayanna and Timothy every day. Wonder what would have happened if I'd fought back, if I'd stayed, if I'd been braver. But I can't change the past. Can only choose what I do now." "And what are you choosing?" "To be better. To not run. To protect what matters." He smiled slightly. "To try." Sarah smiled back. "That's all any of us can do." They reached Fort Ellis at midday. The fort was larger than Sarah expected, high wooden walls, guard towers, multiple buildings inside. Soldiers patrolled the perimeter. Horses in corrals. Smoke rising from chimneys. The gate guard stopped them. "State your business." "Dr. Elias Boon. Captain Morrison is expecting me." The guard checked a ledger. Nodded. "Go ahead. Captain's quarters are straight back, largest building on the right." They entered. The fort was busy, soldiers drilling civilians, working children playing near the barracks. People stared at them as they passed. Sarah kept her head up, Willa in her arms. Let them stare. Morrison met them at his door. "Dr. Boon, Miss Whitmore, I was beginning to think you'd changed your mind." "Just being cautious," Elias said. "Wise. Come in." His office was sparse but functional. Desk, chairs, maps on the walls, a rifle in the corner. Morrison gestured for them to sit. "I assume you're here about the position?" "Yes, but I have conditions." "Of course you do." Morrison leaned back. "Name them." "Miss Whitmore and her daughter live with me. No questions asked. No interference from the town or anyone else." "Agreed." "I choose my own methods. If I want to use native medicine alongside traditional approaches, that's my decision. As long as the men don't die, I don't care if you use whiskey and prayers. And if anyone threatens Miss Whitmore or Willa, I handle it. My way." Morrison's eyes narrowed. "That sounds like vigilante justice, Doctor." "That sounds like protecting my family." "Your family." Morrison looked at Sarah. "Are you his wife?" "No." "Planning to be?" Sarah glanced at Elias. "We're figuring it out." Morrison smiled slightly. "Fair enough. Fine. Your conditions are accepted. You'll have a house on the east side of the fort. 2 bedrooms. Small but solid. Salary is $40 a month plus room and board. You start tomorrow." Elias nodded. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. We've got 50 soldiers, 20 civilians, and a dozen children in this fort. Half of them have something wrong. You'll earn every penny." They moved into the house that afternoon. It was small, like Morrison said, but it was clean and warm and safe. 2 bedrooms, 1 for Sarah and Willa, 1 for Elias. Shared living space with a fireplace. Kitchen with a stove. Windows with actual glass. Sarah stood in the center of the main room and cried. "What's wrong?" Elias asked, alarmed. "Nothing. Nothing's wrong. It's just this is the first real home I've had since—" She couldn't finish. He understood, came over and put a hand on her shoulder. "It's home now, for as long as you want it." That night after Willa was asleep, Sarah and Elias sat by the fire again. It was becoming their ritual. Silence and firelight and presence. "Can I ask you something?" Sarah said. "Always." "Do you still miss her, Ayanna?" Elias stared into the flames. Every day, every hour. It doesn't stop. You just learn to carry it different. Does it get easier? No, but you get stronger. He looked at her. You'll always miss Keaton. That's not betrayal. It's love. The only way to stop missing someone is to stop loving them. And that's not possible. But you're here, with us, building a new life. How do you... I honor her by living, by not letting those bastards win, by choosing good instead of bitterness. He paused. And by making sure what happened to Timothy never happens to another child. Not if I can stop it. Sarah wiped her eyes. You're a good man, Elias Boon. I'm just a man who's trying. That's more than most people do. They sat in silence for a while longer. Then Sarah said, I'm scared. Of what? That this won't last. That they'll come for us again. That something will happen to Willa. That I'll wake up and this will all be a dream, and I'll be back in that snow with her dying in my arms. Elias reached across the space between them, took both her hands in his. Listen to me. I can't promise nothing bad will ever happen. I can't promise we'll be safe forever. But I can promise this, I will fight for you and Willa every single day. I will stand between you and anything that tries to hurt you. And I will never ever turn you away. That's my promise. That's all I have to give. Sarah looked at him, this scarred, broken, beautiful man who'd saved her daughter and given them both a reason to hope again. It's enough, she whispered. It's more than enough. He pulled her close. Not romantic, just human. Two people who'd lost everything finding something worth fighting for in each other. They stayed like that until the fire died. The next morning, Elias started work. His first patient was a soldier with an infected wound. His second was a child with a fever. His third was a woman in labor. He handled all three with the same calm competence Sarah had seen that first night in his cabin. Steady hands, clear voice, no panic. By the end of the first week, the fort's residents were calling him Doc Boon. By the end of the second week, people were coming from the surrounding area to see him. By the end of the month, he'd saved 4 lives and earned Morrison's complete trust. Sarah found work too, helping in the fort's kitchen, mending uniforms, watching children while their parents worked. She was good at it, had a calming presence. People liked her. Willa grew, smiled, started making sounds that were almost words. She'd crawl around the house exploring everything, fearless. One night, 3 months after they'd arrived, Elias came home late. Sarah was sitting by the fire, Willa asleep in her lap. Rough day, she asked. Long day. Lost a patient. Soldier named Matthews. Took a bullet in the gut during a skirmish with raiders. Nothing I could do. I'm sorry. He sat down heavily. I hate losing them. I know. They sat in silence. Then Elias said, I've been thinking. About what we're doing here. Building a life. Trying to be normal. But every time someone dies, every time I see violence, I remember why I left Virginia. Why I hid in those mountains. Because the world's too broken to fix. Sarah's heart sank. Are you leaving? What? No, God, no. He looked at her alarmed. That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? I'm saying the world's broken. But maybe that's exactly why we can't quit. Maybe broken things need people willing to try to fix them, even when it's hopeless. Maybe that's the whole point. Sarah smiled. You're starting to sound like an optimist, Doc. God forbid. He smiled back. But yeah, maybe I am. He reached into his pocket, pulled out something wrapped in cloth, handed it to her. What's this? Open it. She unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a wooden carving, small, rough, but beautiful. A bird in flight. I'm not great at it, Elias said quickly. But I wanted you to have something. A reminder that even when things seem impossible, sometimes we fly anyway. Sarah held the carving carefully. It's perfect. Really. Really. She looked at him. Thank you. For everything. For saving Willa. For giving us a home. For Sarah. What? Stop thanking me. You saved me just as much as I saved you. They looked at each other across the firelight. Something unspoken passed between them. Not quite love. Not yet. But the possibility of it. The promise. Sarah set the carving on the mantel, right in the center where she'd see it every day. A reminder that broken people could fly, that lost souls could find home, that even in the darkest winter spring could come. 6 months passed like water through fingers. Spring came to Montana territory with violent snow melting into floods, rivers breaking their banks, mud everywhere. But inside the fort, life found its rhythm. Elias worked from dawn until dark, treating everything from broken bones to cholera. Sarah kept house raised. Willa and slowly, carefully began to trust that this life was real. Willa turned 1 year old in April. She was walking now, stumbling really, but determined. She'd pull herself up on furniture, take 3 wobbling steps, fall on her bottom, and laugh. That laugh was Sarah's favorite sound in the world. They celebrated quietly, just the 3 of them. Sarah made a small cake with flour Morrison had given them. Elias carved a wooden horse for Willa. She held it in her tiny fists and grinned, showing 4 teeth. She's got your smile, Elias said, watching her. She's got Keaton's eyes. She's got both of you. That's the point. Sarah looked at him across the table. He'd changed in 6 months. Still quiet, still careful, but something had softened. The hard edges weren't as sharp. He smiled more, laughed sometimes even. What? He asked, noticing her stare. Nothing. Just you look happy. Do I? Yeah, you do. He considered this. I suppose I am. Strange, isn't it? 6 months ago I was ready to die alone in those mountains. Now I'm sitting here eating terrible cake and watching a baby destroy a wooden horse. Hey, that cake's not terrible. Sarah, I love you dearly, but you can't cook worth a damn. The words hung in the air. Both of them froze. I mean, Elias stammered. I didn't mean not like that. I just meant... It's okay. Sarah's voice was soft. I know what you meant. But her heart was racing, because even if he didn't mean it romantically, he'd said it. I love you. The words existed now between them, real and solid. Elias cleared his throat. I should check on the supplies. Morrison said we're getting a shipment tomorrow, and... Elias. He stopped. It's okay. Really. He nodded. Didn't meet her eyes. I'll be back later. He left quickly. Sarah sat at the table, Willa babbling at her feet, and touched her chest where her heart was pounding. Love. Was that what this was? She'd loved Keaton. Fierce, desperate, all-consuming love. The kind that burned bright and hot, and then was gone, snuffed out by violence. This was different. Quieter. Built slowly over shared meals and late-night conversations, and the simple act of existing in the same space without fear. It wasn't passion. It was partnership. Companionship. Was that love Sarah didn't know? But she knew she didn't want to lose it. That night, Elias came home late. Sarah was already in bed, but she heard him come in, heard him moving around the house, checking locks, banking the fire. Then silence. She got up, pulled a shawl around her shoulders, found him sitting in the dark, staring at the dead embers. Can't sleep. He jumped slightly. Didn't mean to wake you. You didn't. She sat beside him. You want to talk about earlier? Not particularly. Elias? I shouldn't have said it. I made things awkward. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. She turned to face him. Did you mean it? Mean what? That you love me. He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, yes. But not the way you probably think. Then how? I love you the way you love family, the way you love someone who's become essential, someone whose absence would leave a hole. He finally looked at her. I'm not asking for anything, Sarah. I'm not expecting romance or anything like that. I needed you to know that you matter. Both of you. You're not just people I'm helping. You're home. Yeah, home. Sarah reached out, took his hand like she'd done so many times before, but this time she didn't let go. You're my home too. They sat like that until dawn, holding hands, not talking, just being present in the knowledge that whatever they were building, it was real. It mattered. It was worth protecting. The trouble came in May. A merchant caravan arrived at the fort, 3 wagons, a dozen people, supplies from back east. Morrison welcomed them as he always did, gave them space to rest, water for their animals, permission to trade with the soldiers. Sarah was in the market square buying vegetables when she heard a voice that turned her blood to ice. Well, well, if it isn't Sarah Whitmore. She turned slowly. Thomas Everett stood 10 feet away. His arm was still in a sling from where Elias had shot him 6 months ago. His face was harder now, meaner. Thomas. She kept her voice level. What are you doing here? Business. My father's expanding his operations. Sent me to scout new territories. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Funny running into you, though. I heard you'd fled to the wilderness. Figured you'd be dead by now. Sorry to disappoint. Oh, I'm not disappointed, just surprised. You and that mountain man, what's his name, Boon, still playing house? Sarah's hands clenched. What do you want, Thomas? Nothing. Just making conversation. He stepped closer. Where's the bastard child? Don't call her that. Why not? That's what she is, isn't it? Product of your sin. Living proof that you spread your legs for a savage. Sarah slapped him. The sound cracked through the square. Everyone stopped, stared. Thomas touched his cheek. His eyes went cold. You always did have a temper. Catan found that out the hard way, didn't he? Get away from me. Or what? You'll have your pet doctor shoot me again. Thomas laughed. You know, after you left, Reverend Galloway preached a whole sermon about you, called you Jezebel, said you'd brought corruption to our town, said your child was a demon sent to test our faith. I don't care what. But here's the interesting part. After the sermon, the town council voted, officially banished you, said if you ever set foot in Coldwater Ridge again, you'd hang for your crimes. Sarah's stomach dropped. What crimes? Fornication, theft, witchcraft. Witchcraft? That's insane. Is it you bewitched Keaton? Made him forsake his own people? Made him defy God's natural order? Thomas leaned in close, voice dropping. And now you've bewitched this fool doctor. How long before he ends up like Keaton, dead in the dirt, because he was stupid enough to care about you? Sarah wanted to hit him again, wanted to scream. But she forced herself to stay calm. I'm under the protection of the United States Army. Captain Morrison himself vouched for me. Your town council has no authority here. Maybe not, but authority has a way of shifting. Captains get reassigned, protections disappear. And when that happens, Thomas smiled. We'll come for you. And this time there won't be any mountains to hide in. He walked away before she could respond. Left her standing in the square, shaking with rage and fear. She found Elias at the infirmary. He was stitching up a soldier's hand, clean, precise movements. He looked up when she entered and immediately set down his tools. What's wrong? Thomas Everett is here. Elias went very still. Here. At the fort. He came with a merchant caravan. Her voice shook. He said the town banished me. Said if I ever come back they'll hang me for witchcraft. Witchcraft! Jesus Christ! Elias finished the stitch, wrapped the soldier's hand, sent him away. Then he turned to Sarah. Tell me exactly what he said. She did. Every word. Every threat. When she finished, Elias's jaw was so tight she could see the muscle jumping. "He's trying to scare you." "It's working." "Sarah, look at me." He gripped her shoulders. "They can't touch you here. Morrison won't allow it. And witchcraft, that charge wouldn't hold up in any real court. It's just talk." "But what if Morrison gets reassigned? What if—" "Then we'll deal with it, together, like we've dealt with everything else." "Elias, I can't lose you. I can't lose Willa. If they come—" "They won't. And if they try, they'll have to go through me first." Sarah wanted to believe him, wanted to feel safe, but Thomas's words echoed in her head. How long before he ends up like Keaton? That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept getting up, checking on Willa, making sure she was still breathing, making sure she was real. Around midnight, Elias appeared in her doorway. "You're going to wear a hole in the floor." I can't stop thinking about what he said. He's a bully. Bullies say things to make you scared. Don't give him that power. But what if he's right? What if loving me gets you killed? Elias crossed the room, knelt beside her chair, took her hands. "Listen to me very carefully. Loving you is the best decision I've made in 3 years. You and Willa. You gave me a reason to live again, to care again. If that gets me killed—" He squeezed her hands. "Then at least I'll die knowing I lived for something that mattered." That's not comforting. It's not supposed to be comforting. It's supposed to be true. Sarah pulled him close, hugged him tight. He stiffened for a moment. Physical affection still made him uncomfortable, but then his arms came around her. "We're going to be okay," he whispered into her hair. "All of us. I promise." She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. The next morning, Thomas and his caravan left. Sarah watched from the window as the wagons rolled out through the fort gates. Thomas looked back once, found her watching, and smiled. It was a promise. "We'll be back." Sarah shuddered. "He's gone," Elias said from behind her. "For now. Then we use that time. We prepare. We make sure if he does come back, we're ready." How do you prepare for hatred like that? You build something stronger, something they can't destroy. Over the following weeks, that's what they did. Elias took on more responsibilities at the fort, earning Morrison's increased trust. Sarah strengthened her relationships with the other families, becoming part of the community. Willa thrived, became a fixture around the fort, toddling between houses, charming soldiers, bringing light wherever she went. People started referring to them as a family. The Boons. Even though Elias and Sarah weren't married, even though Willa wasn't his by blood, they were family because they chose to be. One evening in June, Morrison invited them to dinner. His wife, Clara, fussed over Willa. Their 3 daughters, ages 8, 6, and 4, played with her, gently teaching her a clapping game. After dinner, Morrison pulled Elias aside. "Can we talk privately?" They stepped onto the porch. The sun was setting, painting the mountains gold. "I'm being reassigned," Morrison said without preamble. Elias's stomach dropped. "When?" 3 months. They're sending me to Fort Laramie. Promotion." "Congratulations." "Don't. You know what this means." "It means Sarah and Willa lose their protection. It means their best protection is leaving. My replacement, Major Calhoun, he's a by-the-book man. Strict. Doesn't like complications. If that town comes back with official documentation, demands warrants, even if they're bullshit, he might not fight it like I would." Elias leaned against the railing. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you need to make a decision. You can stay here and hope Calhoun is reasonable. Or you can leave. Go somewhere those people can't find you. And abandon everything we've built. Better than watching them take it apart." Morrison pulled out a cigar, lit it. "Look, I like you, Boon. You're a good doctor. Better than good. And Sarah, she's been through hell. That child deserves a chance at a real life. But sometimes the right thing is running, living to fight another day. I ran once. It didn't help. That was different." "Was it?" Elias looked at him. "I ran because I was broken, because I thought I could escape the pain. But pain follows you. Hatred follows you. The only difference between running and standing is whether you let them win. Morrison studied him. You're planning to stay. Unless Sarah wants to leave, then we leave. But if we stay, I need to know, will Calhoun honor your voucher, your protection? I don't know. Honestly. He might. He might not. Then I guess we'll find out. That night, Elias told Sarah about Morrison's reassignment. Her face went white. 3 months. Yeah. And then we're on our own. Potentially. Sarah was quiet for a long time. Then, we should leave. What? We should pack up. Leave before Morrison goes. Go somewhere they'll never find us. Canada, maybe. Or California. Somewhere far away from Coldwater Ridge and Thomas Everett and all of it. Is that what you want? I want Willa safe, that's all I want. But is running going to make her safe or just delay the inevitable? Sarah stood pacing. What's the alternative? We stay here and wait for them to come back. Wait for some new captain who doesn't care about us to hand us over. The alternative is, we stay and we fight. We build a life so solid, so rooted, that they can't tear it apart. We make this our home in a way that can't be undone. How? Elias took a deep breath. We get married. Sarah stopped pacing. What? Not for naught, because I'm expecting anything. But legally. Officially. If we're married, you're my wife. You take my name. Any charges against Sarah Whitmore become irrelevant because legally she doesn't exist anymore. You'd be Sarah Boon. Different person, different identity. That's insane. Maybe, but it would work. They're looking for Sarah Whitmore. Not Sarah Boon, wife of the Fort Surgeon mother of Willa Boon. We'd be a legitimate family. Harder to break, harder to challenge. Sarah stared at him. You'd do that, marry me just to protect me. I'd do that because I love you. Because you're already my family in every way that matters. This just makes it official. But what about romance, love don't you want? Sarah. He stepped closer. I told you 6 months ago that I love you. That hasn't changed. I'm not asking you to love me back the same way. I'm not asking for a traditional marriage. I'm asking you to let me protect you. Legally. Permanently. Whatever else happens between us, friendship, partnership, maybe someday more. That's for time to decide. But right now, today, this is how I can keep you safe. Tears streamed down Sarah's face. This isn't fair to you. Why not? Because you deserve someone who loves you the way Ayanna did. Someone who isn't broken. I don't want someone who isn't broken. I want you, exactly as you are. Broken pieces and all. Sarah laughed through her tears. You're crazy. Probably. Is that a yes? She looked at him. This man who'd saved her daughter, given them a home, stood between them and evil time and time again. This man who asked for nothing and gave everything. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. They were married 2 weeks later. Small ceremony. Morrison officiated. Clara and the girls witnessed. Nilnish came down from the mountains with 5 warriors bringing gifts, a blanket for Sarah, a knife for Elias, a cradle for Willa. Sarah wore a simple dress Clara had helped her make. Elias wore his best shirt, the one without holes. Willa toddled between them during the vows, making everyone laugh. When Morrison asked if they had rings, Elias pulled out 2 simple bands he'd hammered himself from scrap metal. They weren't pretty, but they were real. I, Elias Boon, take you Sarah Whitmore as my wife. I promise to protect you, to stand with you, to honor the life we're building, for as long as I live. Sarah's voice shook. I, Sarah Whitmore, take you Elias Boon as my husband. I promise to stand with you, to trust you, to build this life together, for as long as I live. Morrison smiled. By the power vested in me by the United States Army, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may do whatever feels right. Elias looked at Sarah. Sarah looked at Elias. Then slowly, carefully, he leaned forward and kissed her forehead. It wasn't romantic, it wasn't passionate, but it was real. The crowd cheered. Willa laughed and clapped her hands. Naelnish nodded approval, and just like that, they were family. Officially. Legally. Permanently. That night after the celebration ended, Sarah and Elias sat in their house. Now their house officially. Sarah Boon's house. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Strange. Good strange. Like something settled into place." "Yeah, I know what you mean." Willa was asleep in her cradle, the one Naelnish had brought. Sarah rocked it gently with her foot. "Can I tell you something?" she said quietly. "Always. I didn't think I'd ever feel safe again, after Keaton died, after everything. I thought safety was just gone, something I'd never have again. And now I do. Not because nothing bad can happen, but because I know you'll be there when it does." Elias reached across the space between their chairs, took her hand. "Always. That's the promise. Through whatever comes." "Through whatever comes," Sarah repeated. They sat in silence, holding hands, listening to Willa's soft breathing. Outside, the sun set behind the mountains. Inside, a family strange broken, patched together from pain, settled into the quiet knowledge that they'd survive, because they had each other. And sometimes, that was enough. Morrison left in September. His replacement, Major Calhoun, arrived on a gray morning with 20 new soldiers and a reputation for rigid discipline. He was younger than Morrison, maybe 35, with cold blue eyes and a jaw that looked like it had been carved from granite. Elias met him in his office the first day. "Dr. Boon, I've read your file. Impressive credentials, Union Army, multiple commendations." "Thank you, Major. I also read about the incident with the civilian mob, the burned cabin, the accusations." Elias kept his face neutral. "Captain Morrison investigated thoroughly, found no wrongdoing." "So I saw. Morrison also vouched for your wife, said she was under his personal protection." "She is. She's my wife, Sarah Boon." Calhoun studied him. "I'm not Morrison, Doctor. I don't make exceptions based on personal feelings. If there are legitimate charges against anyone in this fort, I will address them. Understood?" "Understood. But there are no legitimate charges, just lies from people who didn't like my wife's choice in husband." "Her first husband?" "Yes." "A Comanche?" "Yes." Calhoun leaned back in his chair. "I don't care who people marry, Doctor, as long as they don't cause trouble. Can you promise me you won't cause trouble?" "I can promise I'll do my job, keep people alive, stay out of your way. Then we'll get along fine." But Elias knew it wasn't fine. He could see it in Calhoun's eyes, the calculation, the judgment, the decision that had already been made. They were on probation. One mistake and Calhoun would wash his hands of them. He told Sarah that night. "He doesn't trust us." "Did you expect him to?" "I expected Morrison's voucher to carry more weight." Sarah was nursing Willa, not truly nursing anymore. The baby was weaning, but she still liked the comfort. "What do? We keep our heads down. We don't give him any reason to question us, and we hope those bastards from Coldwater Ridge stay away." They did. For 11 months. Then in August of the following year, a letter arrived. Elias was in the infirmary when Calhoun summoned him. The major sat behind his desk, the letter in his hand, face unreadable. "I received correspondence from the town council of Coldwater Ridge. They're inquiring about a woman named Sarah Whitmore, wanted for abandonment theft and practicing witchcraft." Elias's blood went cold. "Sarah Whitmore doesn't exist." "Excuse me. My wife's name is Sarah Boon, has been for over a year. We were married by Captain Morrison. It's in the fort records." Calhoun picked up another paper. "So I see. But the letter claims Sarah Whitmore changed her name to avoid prosecution. They have witnesses who place her at this fort. They're demanding she be returned to face trial. Trial for witchcraft. That's medieval. That's their jurisdiction, not mine. You're not seriously considering. I'm considering the law, doctor. If there are legitimate charges, I'm obligated to investigate. There are no legitimate charges, just bigotry. They killed her first husband because he was native. They tried to let her baby die because she's mixed race. Now they want revenge because she survived. Calhoun set down the letter. Tell me the truth. Is your wife Sarah Whitmore? Elias met his eyes. My wife is Sarah Boon, mother of Willa Boon, wife of Elias Boon. Whatever she was before we married is irrelevant. She's under my protection, and yours as residents of this fort. The town council says they have documentation, signed affidavits, witness testimony. They have lies. Then she can defend herself in court. She can't get a fair trial from people who already decided she's guilty. Calhoun stood. Doctor, I understand you're protective of your family, but I can't ignore official correspondence from a legitimate town council. I need to speak with your wife. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Bring her here. And if I refuse, then I'll send soldiers to collect her. Your choice. Elias wanted to hit him, wanted to grab that letter and tear it to pieces, but he forced himself to nod. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. He went home and told Sarah. She was in the kitchen making bread. Willa was at the table drawing pictures with a piece of charcoal on scrap paper. They found me. Sarah's hands stopped kneading. What? Coldwater Ridge. They sent a letter to Calhoun. They want you back. For trial. The color drained from her face. No, that's not. We got married. I changed my name. I'm not. They know. They have witnesses who saw you here. They're claiming you changed your name to avoid prosecution. Sarah sank into a chair. What did Calhoun say? He wants to talk to you, tomorrow morning, to investigate. And then, I don't know, but Sarah, listen to me. He knelt in front of her. I won't let them take you. Whatever happens, whatever Calhoun decides, I won't let them take you. How can you stop them? I don't know yet, but I will. Willa looked up from her drawing. She was 13 months old now, talking in small sentences. Mama sad. Sarah forced a smile. No, baby. Mama's fine. But Willa wasn't fooled. She climbed into Sarah's lap, wrapped her small arms around her mother's neck. Don't be sad, Mama. Sarah held her tight. I'm not. I promise. That night they didn't sleep. They sat at the table making plans, contingencies, escape routes. If Calhoun decides to send me back, we run, Sarah said. Take Willa and go. Don't wait. I'm not running without you. Elias? No. We stay together. All three of us. We're a family. We don't abandon each other. But if they arrest me, then I'll break you out. I don't care what it takes. You'll be court-martialed, hanged. Then I'll die knowing I fought for you. For us. Sarah looked at him. This man who'd saved them, protected them, chosen them over and over. When did you become so stubborn? I learned from you. They held each other until dawn. The meeting with Calhoun was worse than expected. He questioned Sarah for 2 hours about Keaton, about Coldwater Ridge, about why she left, about the accusations. Sarah answered honestly. Didn't lie, didn't hide. They killed my husband, she said, voice steady. Beat him to death in front of the church. Then they tried to let my daughter die because she's half native. I fled because staying meant watching her die. That's the truth. And the witchcraft charges. Lies. They called me a witch because I loved a man they hated, because I refused to let them control me. Calhoun made notes, asked more questions. Finally, I need time to consider this. You're dismissed. What happens now? Elias asked. Now I decide whether their claims have merit, I'll inform you of my decision within the week." They left, walked back to their house in silence. Willa was with Clara Morrison. Morrison's wife had stayed at the fort even after her husband left, helping with the children. She brought Willa back that afternoon. "How did it go?" Clara asked. "We don't know yet." Clara hugged Sarah. "Whatever happens, you have friends here. Don't forget that." Over the next 6 days they waited. Elias worked. Sarah took care of Willa. They pretended everything was normal. But at night they packed bags, made plans, prepared for the worst. On the 7th day, Calhoun summoned them again. They went together, Elias holding Sarah's hand. Calhoun stood when they entered. "I've made my decision. I sent a response to Coldwater Ridge informing them that Sarah Whitmore is not a resident of this fort. However, Sarah Boon is, and she is, under the jurisdiction of the United States Army as the wife of a fort employee. Any further inquiries should be directed to military courts, not civilian councils." Sarah's knees nearly gave out. "You're not sending me back?" "No. Their claims are unsubstantiated. Witchcraft isn't a recognized charge in military or federal law. And their witnesses can't prove the Sarah Boon living here is the same person as Sarah Whitmore from their town. Different name, different life. As far as I'm concerned, they're looking for someone who doesn't exist." Elias exhaled. "Thank you, Major." "Don't thank me. I'm not doing this out of kindness. I'm doing it because the law is on your side. Barely, but it is." Calhoun sat down. "However, I need you to understand something. This won't end here. They'll appeal. They'll send more letters. They might even show up in person. And if they do, if they cause trouble at my fort, I will hold you responsible." "Understood." "Understood. Then you're dismissed." They walked out into the sunlight. Sarah was shaking so hard she could barely stand. Elias caught her. "It's okay. We're okay. For now. For now is enough." But it wasn't over. Calhoun was right. 3 months later, another letter arrived. Then another. Then in the spring, Thomas Everett himself showed up. He rode through the gate with 5 men, all armed, all looking for a fight. Calhoun met them personally. "State your business." "We're here for Sarah Whitmore. We have documents." "Sarah Whitmore doesn't live here." "Don't give me that. We know she's here. We have witnesses. What you have is hearsay. What I have is fort records showing Sarah Boon, legal wife of Dr. Elias Boon, resident of this fort for 3 years. If you have a problem with that, take it to a federal judge. Until then, get off my property." Thomas's face went red. "You can't." "I can, and I am. You have 30 seconds to leave before I have my soldiers escort you out." Thomas looked past Calhoun, scanning the fort. His eyes landed on Sarah, who was standing near the infirmary with Willa on her hip. "There she is. That's her." Calhoun stepped into his line of sight. 20 seconds. "This isn't over." 15. Thomas spat in the dirt. Then he and his men turned and rode out. But he looked back once, found Sarah's eyes, mouthed, "We'll be back." That night, Elias and Sarah sat in their house. Willa was asleep. They were exhausted. "It's never going to end, is it?" Sarah said quietly. "I don't know. They'll keep coming, keep trying. Until what? Until they win. I won't let that happen. You can't fight the whole world, Elias." "No, but I can fight for you. For Willa. For us." He took her hands. "Sarah, look at me. 3 years ago you stumbled into my cabin with a dying baby. I was ready to die, ready to give up. But you saved me. You gave me a reason to live, to fight, to care, and I will keep fighting, for as long as it takes." Tears streamed down Sarah's face. "I'm tired of running, tired of fighting. I just want peace." "Then we'll find it, together. We'll build a life so strong, so rooted that nothing can shake it. We'll raise Willa to be strong, brave, proud of who she is. And we'll prove that love, real, messy, complicated love, is stronger than hatred." Sarah leaned forward. rested her forehead against his. "I love you, Elias Boon." He pulled back, surprised. "What?" "I love you. Not as a friend, not as a protector, as a husband, as a partner, as the man I choose every single day." She cupped his face. "I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was gradual. Maybe it was always there. But I love you, and I need you to know that." Elias stared at her. Then slowly, carefully, he leaned forward and kissed her. Not on the forehead this time. On the lips. It was gentle, tentative. The kiss of two people who'd been through hell and found each other on the other side. When they pulled apart, both were crying. "I love you too," Elias whispered. "God help me. I love you too." They held each other until the fire died. And when they finally went to bed, separate rooms, still some habits took time. They did so knowing that whatever came next, they'd face it together. The years passed. Willa grew. 5 years old. 7. 10. She learned to read and write. Learned healing from Elias, cooking from Sarah, tracking from Nalnish's warriors who still visited. She was bright, fierce, curious. Beautiful. Thomas Everett came back twice more. Both times Calhoun turned him away. The letters from Coldwater Ridge eventually stopped. The town council gave up or forgot, or simply moved on to other targets. Life at the fort continued. Elias became chief surgeon. Sarah opened a small school teaching children to read. They moved to a larger house. Had arguments. Had joy. Had ordinary, beautiful, mundane days. And slowly, carefully, their marriage became real. Not just legal. Not just protective. But genuine. They shared a bed. Shared their lives. Shared everything. When Willa turned 12, Elias took them on a trip. Back to the mountains. Back to where his old cabin had stood. The clearing was overgrown now. Trees reclaiming the space. But the stone chimney still stood blackened but solid. "This is where we met," he told Willa. "Your mother collapsed right there in the snow. You weren't breathing. I thought—" His voice caught. "I thought I was too late. But then I felt your heartbeat. So faint. And I knew I had to try." Willa looked around. She was tall now, already coming up to Sarah's shoulder. She had Keatan's cheekbones, Sarah's mouth and eyes that were purely her own. "Do you remember him?" she asked quietly. "My father." Sarah knelt beside her. "Every day, he was brave, Willa, strong, kind. He loved you before you were born. And if he were here now, he'd be so proud of the woman you're becoming." "Do you think he'd be mad that you married Elias?" Sarah looked at Elias. He looked back. "No," Sarah said. "I think he'd be grateful. Grateful that someone protected you, loved you, gave you the life he wanted for you." Willa nodded. Then she walked to an old pine tree at the edge of the clearing, pulled out a knife, the one Nalnish had given her, and began carving. They watched in silence. When she finished, she stepped back. The words were rough but clear. "She's still breathing. And so am I." Elias came up beside her. "That's what I said. That first night. When I found your heartbeat." "I know. Mom told me." Willa looked at him. "You didn't bury me. You saved me. And you saved Mom. And somehow we all saved each other." Elias put his arm around her shoulders. Sarah came to his other side. They stood there, 3 people bound not by blood, but by choice, by survival, by love. "We should go," Sarah said finally. "It's getting dark." But before they left, Elias carved one more line beneath Willa's words. "Home isn't built by walls. It's built by people who choose to stay." They walked back to the fort as the sun set. When they arrived, Clara Morrison was waiting with fresh bread. Nalnish had sent word he'd visit next week. Calhoun nodded at them as they passed his office. That night, the 3 of them sat by their fire. Willa read aloud from a book. Sarah mended a shirt. Elias carved a new toy for the neighbor's child. It was ordinary, simple, beautiful. Everything they'd fought for. Everything they'd nearly lost. Everything they'd built from ash and snow and desperation. Sarah looked at Elias across the firelight. He looked back. They didn't need to speak. They both knew. They'd won. Not against Coldwater Ridge. Not against hatred or cruelty or injustice. Those things still existed, still threatened. But they'd won where it mattered. They'd built a family, a home, a life worth living, and that was everything. Willa closed her book. "I'm tired. Going to bed." She kissed Sarah's cheek, then Elias's, then disappeared into her room. Sarah and Elias sat alone by the dying fire. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Saving us that night." "Never. Not once." Even with everything that followed, the violence, the threats, the fear, especially because of those things. He reached for her hand. "You and Willa, you're the best decision I ever made. The only one that matters." Sarah smiled. "You're getting sentimental in your old age, Doc." "I'm 43. That's not old." "You've got gray in your beard." "You've got gray in your hair." Rude. They laughed. Then sat in comfortable silence. Outside, snow began to fall. The first snow of winter, soft and quiet, covering the world in white, erasing the past, making space for the future. Inside, a family settled into the warmth of their home. Broken pieces that had somehow miraculously formed something whole. Elias looked at the carved bird Sarah had placed on the mantel 12 years ago. Still there. Still reminding them that even broken things could fly. He squeezed Sarah's hand. She squeezed back. And in that moment, in that simple gesture, was everything they'd ever needed to say. Love wasn't the absence of pain. It wasn't safety, or perfection, or freedom from fear. Love was choosing to stay when leaving would be easier. Choosing to fight when surrender was tempting. Choosing to believe in tomorrow, even when today was unbearable. Love was a widow in the snow, refusing to let her daughter die. Love was a broken doctor, finding one more heartbeat in the darkness. Love was a family built not from blood, but from choice. And that kind of love, scarred, resilient, forged in fire, could outlast anything the world threw at it. Because it already had. 3 lives once shattered by hatred had become a single unbreakable story. Proof that mercy was stronger than cruelty. That hope could survive winter. That one act of compassion could redeem not just a life, but a soul, a home, and a world. They'd started in darkness and found light. They'd started alone and found each other. They'd started dying and chose to live. And that choice, that fight, that stubborn, beautiful refusal to surrender was the only legacy that mattered.